everybody, it's Sarah and welcome to my crochet channel. Today's video is actually a special request from a friend who wanted to make some quick baby shower gifts for her friend who had some twins. She didn't need a whole blanket and she wanted to make a couple of lovies, and she happened to get some of these, which are called either Top This or Little Toppers. She got some of these on sale at her local Michael's and wanted to make some lovies out of them. And so I worked up this really simple pattern. It's shaped like a pentagon, has 5 corners and 5 sides, and it measures about 12 by 12 inches. It's super easy, and I'll show you how to make the little blanket lovey itself and how to attach the little head to it. This is a free crochet pattern on my blog, and you can find that blog link down in the notes underneath this video. To make one of these little lovies, you're going to need either the Top This kit, which this one is a Top This, or one of these little toppers that come with a little head or animal on top. They even have them that are soccer balls and footballs and lots of different types. You can find them at Michael's. I've even seen them at Walmart lately. And you can also find them at Joann's, or you can purchase them online. They're both made from DMC products. Now, if you want to make one of these and you don't have one of these kits, the yarn itself is a worsted weight, medium weight, number 4 acrylic yarn. And you can use any acrylic yarn that's a medium number 4 that you have on hand. And also, you don't have to use a little topper for the little animal on the top. A neat thing that you can do is swing by one of your local Dollar Trees, and they have little stuffed animals, and you can always just stitch one of those on top as well. So that gives you lots of different options to make a little lovey really easily. We're going to be stitching with our H hook today. It's a 5.0 millimeter crochet hook. You'll need a needle for weaving in your ends and, of course, your scissors. For our demonstration today, I'm going to be using this Little Toppers Narwhal kit. All right, and you need to open up the bottom, untie this ribbon, and take that off. And you'll notice on the inside of your packaging there'll be a little circle, and when you pull it off there'll be 2 little circles on it, and we'll talk about these and how we use these on the lovey after a bit. Once you remove the paper and the topper, you should be able to pull your yarn from the center of your ball. Alright, just a little tip. We're going to begin with our slip knot, and then we're going to chain 5. We're going to join this chain 5 into a circle, so we'll put the tail of our yarn over our hook and pull it through that loop. We'll snug that down, and then we'll tie that little stay knot that keeps our 5 chain loop together. All right, now turn it this way, put our hook in, grab that working yarn, pull it through, and chain 3. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to place a double crochet in that chain 5 loop, and we're going to chain 2. And we're going to repeat stitching 2 double crochets, chain 2, 4 more times. Our chain 3 here counted as our first double crochet, and then we stitched 1 double crochet and chain 2. So yarn over, go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over, and go through the second 2 loops. Chain 2. And now I'm going to repeat that 3 more times so that I have 5 sets of 2 double crochets, chain 2. And if you'll notice, I am stitching over that tail of yarn as I work, and I'll show you why in just a second. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I need one more set of 2 double crochets. Whoops. There we go. 1 and 2. And then chain 2. We're going to join to the top of that chain 3. There we go. A little bit snug. With a slip stitch, we're going to slip stitch in that next double crochet, and then we'll slip stitch in the chain 2 space and chain 3. And this is how it should look. There should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sets of 2 double crochet with chain 2 in between. I'm going to turn this over, and I'm going to gently pull on that string, and that's going to close up that hole in the middle. And then we can come back in and weave this in with our needle. Here's my needle. Thread that on. We'll go around that, make sure that's nice and snug. Then we'll go back the other way. And then back the other way. And that's going to keep that nice and closed. We can clip that yarn and we won't have to worry about that. It's all done. And that's the way that row 1 should look. 5 sets of 2 double crochet with chain 2s in between. Let's do row 2. Our chain 3 here counts as our first double crochet. We're going to double crochet in that chain 2 space. We're going to chain 2, and then we're going to double crochet 2 more times in the same chain 2 space. And then chain 2. And then we'll repeat in each of these next 4 chain 2 spaces, stitching 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 double crochets. This is going to give us 5 corners. Remember, we're making a pentagon, and so we're going to need 5 corners and 5 sides. Alrighty, chain 2, and now I have one more corner left to do in this chain 2 space. 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, and chain 2. We'll join to the top of that chain 3 that counted as our first double crochet. With a slip stitch, we'll slip stitch in that next double crochet, and then slip stitch in the chain 2 space and chain 3. So now we have 5 corners, and each corner has 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets with the chain 2s in between. All right, let's do row 3. Our chain 3 here again counts as our double crochet. We're going to do the corner the same, 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 double crochets. We'll chain 2, and then in this next chain 2 space, we'll just stitch 2 double crochets. Chain 2, and then we'll stitch the corner. 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 double crochets, and chain 2, And that brings us to our next chain 2 space, which is on the side, and we'll just stitch 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, and then chain 2. So you can see the pattern here of what we're doing. We do a corner, 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 double crochets. Then we do a chain 2 and stitch 2 double crochets in that chain 2 space. Chain 2, we do the corner again because we're in a corner, 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets, chain 2, and then 2 double crochets in that chain 2 space on the side. And we'll repeat this 3 more times, and then we'll join back to our chain 3. I've completed row 3, stitching my corners and my sides. I'm going to join to the chain 3 with a slip stitch, and then I'm going to slip stitch to the corner. And chain 3. Row 4 is similar to row 3, only we're going to have 2 chain 2 spaces on our side. The corner's the same. Our chain 3 counts as our first double crochet. Then we double crochet, chain 2, and 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, chain 2, and now we have these 2 chain 2 spaces. So we're going to place 2 double crochets in the chain 2 space and chain 2, and 2 double crochets in the next chain 2 space and chain 2. And that brings us to our next corner, and we'll do the corner the same, 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 double crochets. And chain 2. And again we have the 2 chain 2 spaces, and we'll do those the same as we did over here. 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 double crochets, chain 2. And so what we're going to be doing is we'll do a corner, chain 2, 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets, chain 2. Then we'll do another corner, 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 double crochets in that corner, chain 2, and then 2 double crochets in the chain 2 space, chain 2, and 2 double crochets in the chain 2 space. And we'll repeat that on these last 3 sides, and then join back to our chain 3. I've completed row 4 on all 4 of my sides and corners. Here's my last 2 double crochets, chain 2. I'm going to join to that chain 3 with a slip stitch, and then I'm going to slip stitch to the corner and chain 3. And row 5 again is the same. Now we have 1, 2, 3 of our chain 2 spaces on our side. And so we'll do the corner the same, which is 2 double crochets, and again our chain 3 counts as our first double crochet. So we did 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 double crochets, chain 2. And now we're going to place 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets in the next chain 2 space, chain 2, and then 2 double crochets in that last chain 2 space and chain 2. And so what we're doing on row 5 is we have our corners, 2 double crochet, chain 2 and 2 double crochets, and then we'll stitch 3 of those sets of 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, chain 2 in those 3 chain 2 spaces. I have joined to the chain 3, I've slip stitched to my chain 2 space and chained 3. And this is how your pentagon lovey should look at row 5. You have your 5 corners and you have 3 sets of 2 double crochet, chain 2 in between. And what we're going to do for the next 3 rows is basically repeat row 5. The only difference is you'll have more sets of 2 double crochet, chain 2 on each row. For your sides, your corners will be the same, but for row 6 you'll have 4 sets of 2 double crochet, chain 2. On row 7 you'll have 5, and then on row 8 you'll have 6 sets of the 2 double crochet, chain 2 on your sides. But remember, your corners are going to be the same, 2 double crochet, chain 2 and 2 double crochet. So we're going to go ahead and repeat what we've been doing for 3 more rows, and this will make our pentagon lovey just a little bit bigger. I completed those next 3 rows. Our corners are the same, 2 double crochet, chain 2 and 2 double crochet, and you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sets of 2 double crochet, chain 2 across, and then of course your corner, and each one should be the same. And at this point your little lovey should measure about 11.5 inches approximately. And now we're going to do the trim. So here is where we joined and slip stitched and chain 3, and the corner is the same. We're going to add another double crochet, chain 2 and 2 double crochets, and the corners on all 5 of the corners will be the same. We're going to chain 1. I'm going to turn this so we got a flat side. In our next chain 2 space, we're going to stitch a single crochet. So we'll go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, and go through both loops. Then we'll chain 1. Then in the next chain 2 space, we're going to stitch 3 double crochets. And we'll chain 1. That brings us to our next chain 2 space, and we're going to stitch a single crochet. And chain 1. Then we'll come to our next chain 2 space and stitch 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1, single crochet in the next chain 2 space, chain 1, and 3 double crochets in the next chain 2 space. Chain 1 and then single crochet in the last chain 2 space and chain 1. All right, and then that brings us back to our corner. So let's take a look at our side. We have the corner the same, chain 1, single crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochets, chain 1, single, chain 1, 3 double crochets, chain 1, single, chain 1, and 3 double crochets, chain 1 and our single crochet and chain 1. So we have 3 sets of the 3 double crochets, and then we have 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 of our single crochets. And that brings us to our next corner, and the corner is the same as we've been doing, 2 double crochets, chain 2 and 2 double crochets. And then instead of doing a chain 2, we only do a chain 1 like we did on this side. And then we'll repeat over here what we did over here. Single crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochets in the next chain 2 space, 1, 2, and 3, chain 1, single crochet in the next chain 2 space, and chain 1, then 3 double crochets in the next chain 2 space, and chain 1, single crochet in the next chain 2 space, and chain 1. 3 double crochets in the next chain 2 space, chain 1, and then single crochet in that last chain 2 space on that side, and chain 1. And then again, that brings us back to our corner. And so we're going to repeat the corner and the side the same on the last 3 sides, and then we'll join and tie off. I've completed this simple shell trim on all 5 sides of my pentagon Lovey. Here's my single crochet chain 1. I'm going to join to the chain 3 with a slip stitch. Slip stitch in that next double crochet and slip stitch in the chain 2 space, and then tie off. Now I like to do this and go to the corner just because I think it gives it a much more finished appearance. Alright, and I'll just pull that to the back, and I'll use my needle to weave that in later. And that's how your Lovey should look at row 9. So the next thing we need to do is we need to add our little topper. And I'm using this little narwhal. It's one of my favorites. And you'll notice that you have this little circle that came with your kit. What I do is I just push those 2 little circles out with my crochet hook. And we're going to need this. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go in the center from the bottom, put our hook through, and grab those little ribbons that are attached and pull them to the underneath the side. Now, it's up to you if you want to clip these off. When I'm giving it as a gift, I leave them on there and let them have the opportunity to take them off. All right? That way they know what it's made out of and things like that. All right? But if they're annoying you and you want to go ahead and clip them, you can. And then you can just put these in the gift bag for their information. It's up to you. All right, so I'm going to turn this over. I'm going to pull these snug. And what I do in order to keep these securely on is I'll take that ribbon and I'll go around one of the stitch groups, and I'll do that on this side as well. And that just helps it stay put. All right, then we're going to take this little circle, and what I do on the ends of these is I take my scissors and I cut a little point. And that's going to help me get that through that little circle. All right, so we're going to put the circle here, and then we'll take the other, go through that little circle. We're going to snug that down, and then we're just going to tie a bow. And the reason I like to tie a bow is because if the little Lovey needs to be washed, it can be washed with no problem, and you can just untie this and loosen off the topper, and it doesn't get messed up in the wash. All right. Now, if you don't want to add that little circle to it, you don't have to. It just helps the topper stay up and stay put better. But it really doesn't matter in the long run whether that little circle's there or not. So here are both the Loveys that I made. Whether you use a top this or a little topper, they both work great for this precious little Lovey, and they make great baby shower gifts.